On March 25, 2015, at 6 a.m., a man walking near a landfill site on the southern outskirts of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, made an urgent call to 911 after discovering a young woman lying on the ground, cold to the touch with marks covering her neck and blood on her black leather jacket's hood. She lacked shoes and her watch was smashed, indicating a violent struggle had occurred. Authorities arrived promptly, pronouncing her dead at the scene, identifying it as a homicide. Only a dark blue belt with a large buckle was found nearby. Police released images of her clothing and distinctive tattoos, including a line on her back leading to her identification as 18-year-old Brittney Gargol. Brittney, a vibrant young woman from Saskatoon, had a close-knit family and was described as outspoken, adventurous, and humorous. She had plans to finish school, study business in college, and pursue a career in hospitality. Investigators traced her activities from the previous day, knowing she had been out with friends. Her friend Natasha revealed their last interaction, where Brittney mentioned meeting friends and potentially attending a party. However, Natasha hadn't heard from her since, leaving a trail of unanswered questions surrounding Brittney's tragic demise. In Saskatchewan, Canada, on March 25, 2015, at 6 a.m., a man walking near a landfill site by an estate on the southern outskirts of Saskatoon made an urgent call to 911. He had stumbled upon a young woman lying on the ground, cold to the touch with marks covering her neck. Her black leather jacket had blood on the hood, and she had no shoes on, her watch smashed, a clear indication of a violent struggle. Authorities arrived swiftly, but despite their efforts, she was pronounced dead at the scene, confirming a homicide. The only item nearby was a dark blue belt with a large buckle, and the area remained eerily quiet and desolate. Despite lacking any means of identification, authorities released images of the woman's clothing and distinctive tattoos, notably a large lion on her back. Shortly after, a distraught teenager named Cheyenne called in, identifying the tattoos as those of her best friend, Brittney Gargol. They had been together the previous night but parted ways in the early hours, with Cheyenne not hearing from Brittney since. Further calls confirmed the victim's identity as Brittney. The tragic chain of events began in the early morning hours of March 25, 2015, when a passerby discovered the severely injured 18-year-old on Cedar Villa Estates Road on the outskirts of Saskatoon. Brittney, an 18-year-old native of Saskatoon, had lived there her entire life. Brittney came from a large family, and despite her parents' split when she was younger, they expanded their family, giving her 4 younger sisters, who admired her greatly. Recently, Brittney reconnected with her biological father after some years, and their bond grew strong. Known for her outspoken nature, adventurous spirit, and sense of humor, Brittney enjoyed activities like snowboarding, boating, and camping, always surrounded by friends who cherished her company. She juggled 2 jobs while pursuing her education, aspiring to study business in college and enter the hospitality industry. As authorities pieced together the events of the previous day, they learned Brittney had been out with friends in the evening, which helped narrow down the time of her death. Natasha, Brittney's close friend, recalled their last interaction, where Brittney mentioned meeting friends and possibly attending a party. Despite Natasha's encouragement to stay in touch, Brittney's whereabouts remained unknown after their goodbye. Reflecting on Brittney's tragic fate, her loved ones mourned her loss, but found solace in the belief that she was now free from suffering and in a better place. However, her untimely demise served as a stark reminder of the dangers lurking in their city, prompting them to caution others to be vigilant and mindful of their surroundings in an increasingly perilous world. The person Brittney had been drinking with, her best friend Cheyenne, provided further details. Their bond strengthened when Brittney became a pillar of support for Cheyenne during her turbulent childhood and adolescence. Inseparable, they spent most of their time together, often indulging in drinks. The night commenced with Brittney posting a selfie of them just after midnight before they embarked on their evening. According to Cheyenne, they visited several venues in Brittney's car, starting with Manchester's Brew Pub and later attending a house party before heading to the Colonial Pub and Grill across town. However, Cheyenne's memory of the night became hazy after the house party. She vaguely recalled a concerning incident at the Colonial Pub and Grill, where Brittney engaged with a random man at the bar. Brittney invited him to join them for drinks, and they left together, though Cheyenne didn't catch the man's name or the direction they headed. She recalled it was around 4 a.m. when they departed. Strangely, Brittney had Cheyenne's phone, while Cheyenne made her way back to visit her uncle alone, a visit confirmed by her uncle's testimony. Unable to provide more clarity, Cheyenne's recollections remained vague. Concerned for her friend's whereabouts, she took to Facebook a few hours after their last encounter, expressing worry and love. Authorities sought to locate the mystery man but faced limited leads. Although unconfirmed, Brittney's car was discovered covered in dust, dirt, and marks, with long grass in the tires, suggesting it had been stationary for some time. Cheyenne's phone found in the car indicated Brittney had taken it before leaving, possibly with the man, hinting at a potential drive rather than walking. Despite reviewing footage from the Colonial Pub and Grill, detectives found no trace of Cheyenne or Brittney, although the bar's bustling nature might have skewed Cheyenne's timeline. Hoping to fill in the gaps, investigators turned to Cheyenne's phone data, which pinged at a McDonald's around 4:30 a.m., a detail Cheyenne had not mentioned. Brittney's autopsy results confirmed their suspicions. She had been strangled to death, marking a tragic end to the search for answers surrounding her demise. As detectives delved deeper into Cheyenne's account, a growing unease settled in. While it was plausible that intoxication had led to confusion and misremembering, there were discrepancies that troubled them deeply. Despite Cheyenne's insistence that they had been at the Colonial Pub and Grill, there was no evidence supporting their presence there, nor any indication of Brittney meeting the mysterious man she mentioned. With months passing and the investigation stagnating, the community remained stunned and mournful, with heartfelt tributes pouring in, including one from Cheyenne. In September 2015, investigators revisited Cheyenne's uncle, who initially appeared reluctant to divulge more information. However, with some persuasion, he disclosed a startling revelation. Cheyenne had confided that they had encountered two men at the bar that morning and accompanied them to a motel. Contradicting her previous statements, she now claimed these men were black, whereas before, she had described Brittney talking to a white male. Cheyenne recounted a chilling scenario at the motel. Smoking marijuana led to a dispute over cocaine, culminating in Brittney's tragic death. She alleged that the men had threatened her with a gun, coercing her into concealing their crime. Despite their skepticism about Cheyenne's story, her admission at least confirmed her knowledge of Brittney's death before notifying the authorities, implicating herself at the scene and referencing the marks on Brittney's neck. However, given Cheyenne's extensive criminal history, including over 50 convictions since the age of 12, law enforcement viewed her with suspicion. Already in custody for another offense, Cheyenne's demeanor shifted from cooperative to uncommunicative and evasive, frustrating investigators. Exhausting all leads and witnesses over the course of a year, they faced a formidable obstacle. CCTV footage had expired, yielding no useful information, and no new leads emerged. Remembering Brittney fondly for her kind-hearted nature and aspirations for success, her loved ones found solace in her memory, feeling her presence even in her absence. Yet, despite their efforts, law enforcement had only one person of interest in Brittney's murder, leaving the case shrouded in uncertainty. As investigators meticulously combed through Brittney and Cheyenne's social media accounts, they stumbled upon a crucial revelation buried within a tribute post uploaded by Cheyenne. In the photo, the top halves of their outfits were visible, revealing that Cheyenne was wearing a belt identical to the one found near Brittney's body, now believed to be the murder weapon. The belt's weave perfectly matched the marks around Brittney's neck, and forensic analysis confirmed the presence of both Cheyenne and Brittney's DNA on it. This breakthrough came with the realization that if the photo had been taken from a slightly different angle, this vital connection might never have been made. However, building a case remained challenging without a clear motive, especially as Cheyenne remained uncooperative. Despite years passing, with Brittney's death nearly 2 years ago, a breakthrough finally came when a friend of Cheyenne's came forward with a startling revelation. She disclosed that on the morning of Brittney's death, Cheyenne had visited her intoxicated, tearful, and incoherent, describing a heated argument between her and Brittney, possibly over a cell phone. In a tearful and trembling state, Cheyenne confessed to her friend, hysterically admitting that she had hit and choked Brittney to death with her belt. Pointing outside, Cheyenne directed her friend's gaze to Brittney's car, where Brittney was slumped against the window in the passenger seat, bleeding. However, Cheyenne provided no further details about the fight or its cause, nor did she mention anyone else being present or a motel. After urging Cheyenne to leave immediately, her friend watched as she drunkenly sped off. The next morning, sobered up, Cheyenne claimed she couldn't remember anything from the previous night, seemingly forgetting everything. Fearing repercussions, her friend initially refrained from reporting the incident to the police, but eventually shared the information with Brittney's family. Cheyenne's uncle also admitted to providing false alibis at her request. Police condemned Cheyenne's manipulative behavior, accusing her of fabricating stories, using false alibis, and taking no responsibility for 2 years. In March 2017, Cheyenne Antoine was charged with second-degree murder and indignity to Brittney's body. The tragic night of partying and drinking, captured in a seemingly innocuous Facebook photo, ended in sorrow with Brittney Gargol's lifeless body discovered on a rural road outside Saskatoon. Cheyenne, shrouded in a baggy hooded jacket during court proceedings, faced charges of second-degree murder, eliciting tears from Brittney's grieving family and friends in the courtroom. We're so grateful and thankful for the investigators who never gave up hope, tirelessly working on this case for almost 2 years. It's been incredibly challenging for us at times to maintain hope, especially considering the grim details. I'm now raising Brittney's 7-year-old sister, who has many questions and struggles to comprehend what happened, which adds to the difficulty. Brittney was a joyful and loving person who adored her family, including her 4 younger sisters, and cherished her friends. She filled her days with as much happiness and laughter as she could. It's heartbreaking that her life was cut short, and it feels so unjust. Almost 6 months later, the accused left a comment on a post recounting a dream she had of Brittney. She expressed waking up with tears in her eyes and feeling blessed to have known Brittney and to have had her in her life. Antoine's message concluded with these sentiments. "Rest in paradise, my angel," Antoine's former friend concluded, marking a tragic contrast to the murder charge laid against her. Additionally, Antoine faces allegations of causing an indignity to a body and has several outstanding court matters, recently being found guilty of assault and uttering threats in a December incident. Meanwhile, Gargol's family fondly remembers her as a joyful grade 12 student who adored her 4 younger sisters. As Antoine's court appearance concluded, she pulled her hood up and left the prisoner's box, remaining in custody until her next court appearance. Despite the weight of evidence against her, Antoine maintained the same story she had told her friend on that early morning, claiming that their night of drinking and smoking culminated in a hazy altercation, resulting in Brittney's tragic unconsciousness. At the age of 21, Antoine faced Brittney's grieving family in court for the first time, burying her head in her hands and crying, unable to meet anyone's gaze. Under Canadian law, second-degree murder typically involves deliberate killing without premeditation, carrying a potential life sentence with a minimum of 10 years to serve. In light of this, Antoine's legal team announced she would plead guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter, taking responsibility for Brittney's death while asserting a lack of memory of the events leading up to it. Through her lawyer, Antoine expressed profound remorse, acknowledging that no words or actions could ever bring Brittney back, and declaring, "I will never forgive myself." Speaking via her attorney, she expressed regret and said, "I will never forgive myself. Nothing I say or do will ever bring her back." Her attorney pleaded for pity. In light of the years of trauma that her clients had experienced, she didn't really have a relationship with her parents, lost her mother at a young age, and began accruing convictions for crimes at the age of 12, totaling 54 by the time she was 19. Her parents were the ones she remembered, taking drugs in an attempt to numb the pain stemming from Canada's infamous residential school system. After moving in with foster parents, Cheyenne experienced both physical and sexual abuse, taking drugs as a way to get away from the pain caused by Canada's infamous residential school system. Cheyenne's lawyer said that she was sexually molested 1 month before Brittney was killed, which has greatly raised concerns about her safety. Cheyenne had moved in with foster parents who had physically and sexually abused her, saw an escalation in her drug and alcohol usage. She was now abusing far more potent narcotics like meth. However, some pointed out that despite the horrors of what she had gone through, Brittney was someone who had supported her through good times and bad. Brittney had been the one constant and support system in her life, the one she always knew she could turn to and who would have done anything for her. And she understood how to control her feelings, regulate her emotions, and always be a shoulder to weep on. This is really a horrible scenario where drug and alcohol abuse skyrocketed. My client was ignoring some very serious personal problems, and will never be able to find out why. Became a very terrible circumstance for all those concerned. She is aware that the family is looking for an explanation and a rationale, but she is unable to give one. According to Cheyenne's attorney, prosecutors and police claim that Cheyenne made reference to a cell phone possibly being. Today, Cheyenne Rose Antoine pleaded guilty to manslaughter in connection with the death of Brittney Gargol, whose body was found near Cedar Villa Estates just south of Saskatoon in March 2015. The sentence, a joint submission agreed upon by the Crown and defense, was accepted by the judge, resulting in a 7-year prison term for Antoine. Originally charged with second-degree murder, Antoine pleaded guilty to the lesser-included offense of manslaughter. The details surrounding the case, shrouded in mystery for about 2 years, emerged during the proceedings. Antoine recalled their heavily intoxicated state leaving a house party that night, with her last memory being Gargol taking her phone. Antoine attempted to mislead police by initially claiming she was present, but had left before anything happened, though she later accepted responsibility for Gargol's death. Sentenced at the age of 21, Antoine is expected to be released in 2024 or 2025, with the judge urging her to address her addiction and anger issues during her time in prison. Gargol's family continues to grapple with the loss of the vibrant young woman, describing her as fun-loving and committed with a promising future ahead. The pain of her absence remains palpable, particularly for her young sister, who struggles with feelings of guilt and fear of forgetting Brittney. Gargol's father mourns the missed opportunity to share one last hug with his daughter, reflecting on the profound impact her death has had on their lives.